Hi everyone, Kelly here. 4 days ago, I ordered something really special. Are you ready? The Peter pen. It's here. I was very excited to get this pen because, especially since it sold out so quickly, and I wanted to get the pen because my technical pens don't write very well on textured surfaces, and some of the watercolor paper I wanted to ink on has quite a texture. So my idea was to put the platinum carbon black ink in this pen and use it on my watercolor paper for line and wash. But I also wanted to check the pen out and see what I could actually do with it just as a pen. So I found a picture of Peter on his channel and decided to ink it because it had a lot of variations in texture and value. And I thought it would really be a good project for putting the pen through its paces. And since it was the Peter pen doing a portrait of Peter, it seemed very appropriate. So what I did was I took the picture of Peter and I pulled it into Photoshop and I reversed it so it was backwards. And I printed it out, and then I took a very soft lead pencil and I traced over the areas where I either needed a line or there was a change in value. Once I got it traced, I turned it over and I used a sheet of watercolor paper because I still do want to see how well the pen inks on watercolor paper. And I also thought I might want to do an ink wash, which I changed my mind and decided I just wanted to see what I could do with the pen. So anyway, I turned the paper over and I took a bone folder and I went over the areas where I had traced, and it transferred that onto the watercolor paper. So then I printed out another picture of Peter, but this time not reversed, so I could use it as a reference and see how where I needed to put more texture, where I needed to put more value, and that's how I started it. And this is just a video of my inking that tracing onto watercolor paper. One of the biggest challenges that I had with this, and I knew that it was going to be a challenge, was figuring out how to add value in areas where the skin is smooth. Not all of Peter's face in this picture has a lot of texture. Some of it's very smooth, and then of course where he's got the 5 o'clock shadow, there's a lot of texture and there's a lot of value as well underneath that texture. So how to add the texture where I needed it and add the value where I didn't want texture. That was actually the biggest challenge. With a technical pen, you can use different weights of pens, but with when you're using just one fountain pen, that doesn't give a whole lot of line variances, width variances. You have to find other ways to do that. So I turned the pen over and used the reverse side of the nib, and that did help to give a little bit finer cross hatches and a little bit finer stippling. One of the things that occurred to me while I was inking this is how much easier it would be if I just used watercolor. And it kind of made me think about how when photographers got colored film and you had Kodachrome and I don't know what the other colored films were, but it kind of reminded me of going from I don't know, like a Polaroid Instamatic, which is a pen, comparing the pen to a Polaroid Instamatic, or what were those other? Yeah, I guess it was a Polaroid, but anyway, going from a Polaroid Instamatic, and then somebody hands you like a really high quality full frame Canon or Nikon DSLR and says, which one do you want to use? And choosing to use the Polaroid and getting some, I don't know, Lomo sort of styling with it, as opposed to, high definition, high color, super smooth kind of image that you would get with your high-end Canon or Nikon. And it's kind of fun to go backwards and see what you can do. And I think you learn a lot from doing that as well. The other thing I thought about while I was inking this portrait is that I don't do a lot of portraits. I used to when I was like in elementary school. I always drew girls. I always drew fashion, and I drew a lot of portraits. I drew beautiful, pretty girls. And as I grew up, I just became less interested in fashion and a little less interested in beauty and more interested in, I don't know, abstract kind of art. But for many years, I didn't do any art at all. And I was busy with my family and, raising kids and running a house. And I just didn't do any art. So somehow, from the time I was married and was very girly, and then I was in a house full of men. Even the cat is a boy. There is no feminine energy in my house except for myself. So I haven't done a lot of portraits, or it just wasn't part of what I did. And I really enjoyed going through and doing this portrait of Peter. And of course, it's such an expressive image that I used. And I think it turned out pretty well. There's a place on his cheek. I guess it would be on his right side, our left side. And I got the values a little bit too dark just along his cheek. And that bothers me a little bit, but it's not too bad. Probably if I didn't point it out, you might not notice it. But I was really pretty excited about getting the texture of his beard on his throat and under his chin. It was fun to do that texture and do all those little scratchy lines. And then also I still, the whole thing isn't scratchy. I still had to add some value in areas that weren't as textured. So fortunately, I was able to use the reverse side of the nib and do some very fine hash marks to add some value in there. So actually, there's something else I just wanted to say about this, and that is, under normal circumstances, I wouldn't take an image off somebody's website or their channel without their permission and do a video like this. And actually, I didn't even think about it when I started to do this. I really didn't think Peter would mind. I don't know Peter. I've never met him. But normally, anyone else, I wouldn't even think of doing this. But I recorded myself doing the drawing, and I had every intention of seeing if the video was even worth publishing, because I'm still kind of new at this and I'm learning as I go. But at any rate, I thought about it after I got it recorded and started editing. And I began to think, oh, I don't know about this. I don't know whether I should publish this. And so I contacted Peter via message on Instagram and said, hey, do you care if I publish this? And he said, no, go ahead. So anyway, that's just always something that I've been a little bit oogie about, just taking an image off of someone else's website and using it. And even if my work is derivative, the copyright infringement laws are really murky to me, and I don't understand them. So just letting you know that I did get permission to post this, and I would encourage anybody, if you're going to use somebody else's images, do get permission. You may not need to, but it's always better safe than sorry. But honestly, I didn't think Peter would mind. He encouraged people to publish what they'd done with his pen. And especially since I was using his pen, I really thought it would be okay. And it turns out it is okay. So anyway, if you didn't happen to get one of these pens and you wanted one, I did see that they're releasing another run of these. But the other thing I would say, and again, I don't know Peter, I haven't talked to him about it, but I just think they would be really silly not to make more pens. And hopefully he will do some more collaborations. So hopefully we'll have more Peter pens in the future. And I'm sure they will be designed very well, considering that he uses them himself. And why wouldn't they do it? It's like a marriage made in heaven, right? At least I think so. And so here's the drawing. I don't have anything else really to say. Here it is in all its glory. The Narwhal Peter pen and the Peter pen Peter draws portrait. Have a great day, everybody. Bye. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and like and comment. Tell me what you think of it in the comments below. And I hope the weather's great where you are. If it is, get out, enjoy it. Have a great day.